Hello people of YouTube. Today we're going to be playing multiplayer on Formula 1 2023. See what we can get into. We're racing for McLaren. We're going to try and make the whole of Britain proud with what we're going to do on this racetrack. I've tried playing multiplayer a few times before, and the lobbies are super inconsistent. You either get a really good lobby, where everybody's super competitive, very respectful, clean racing, and then you kind of get lobbies like this. So here's our start. Get off the line. If we were racing for Haas, Gunther Steiner would already be on the phone to Gene, telling him to get me off the team. And then we have this moment. So New Era 8 is going to swing to the left. I'm going to collide with him, and then we're going to collide with Fluffy Mr. Sheep. And unfortunately for Mr. Sheep, he gets sent to the Shadow Realm, and we get a warning for causing a collision. How does that work? I'm not entirely sure. I do feel bad, but it's kind of what happens when you're racing. There's the mini map. As you can tell, we're frustrated and we just get hit and we spin. The race is off to an appalling start already. To make it worse, here's our teammate. Ray's lands. We're going to call him Lando. We pass a Red Bull. Don't know what happened with him. And now we're just trying to gather ourselves. The race started off poorly. There's really no other way to put it. It was an awful start. It was pretty much Formula 1 bumper cars. But we're trying to make the best of what we got right now. Unfortunately, our teammate has a 2-second penalty. Again, for what I'm not entirely sure. So we're going to keep it clean through here, which isn't too bad. Now this chicane is really the bane of my existence. We're going to get a decent exit. I'm not sure what happened with these two cars, but somehow they ended up completely stopped. It's a very interesting racing strategy, but I hope it works out for them. Now, based off of the start, coming up to this hairpin, I was expecting collisions with somebody. And here we have Mr. Sheep just refusing to slow down in enough time. And then we have Mole Setter collide with the wall, kind of bounce off of that. Again, still expecting collisions going into the first turn on the second lap. Causes me to take an extremely interesting racing line here, missing the apex by a mile. Mole Setter eventually gets a better run out of the exit and regains his position. My interesting line just continues as I have a little bit of a moment there. Now we have Rex CC on our tail as he is desperately trying to get by. And I take a little bit of a Perez moment there, try and defend by running him wide. But it was useless. Rex CC gets away. He's got a better exit out of the corner, as I am left to ponder about my line that I took through there, because that was not good. And here we have a moment of just me not paying attention. I didn't feel right taking the position and continuing going, so I did stop, waited for him to retake his spot in front of me, and then I continued and completely messed up Fluffy Mr. Sheep again. Mr. Sheep is going to have a talk to my manager, the team, and then I have an absolute brain fart of a moment going into neutral. Don't know why. Don't know why I did it. I thought I had more gears. I didn't. But we overtake Mr. Sheep somehow. I guess he had a worse time through that turn. Again, here we go. Mr. Sheep on the inside. We have a lockup from Lando, our teammate up ahead. And then I have a meeting with the barrier as I spin once again. And this was the highlight of the races. This video that it's awful. I have another moment here. I'm in no means any sort of professional. The pride of Maranello has given up with a 12-second penalty. I don't really blame him there. Rex CC is officially out, which I do feel is partly my fault. We're going to continue on. The start of lap 5. Tolnaev Zetany has a 12-second penalty now. And Boom Nukes has a 2-second in front of him. So it's very dirty race for a lot of drivers. But we're going to see a move here from Zetny that I could only describe as probably the cleanest racing I've ever seen in my entire life. I get a great exit. He's not even on the gas. And he does this. Turns left in a straight, causing me to go into the wall. And magically, the stewards must be drunk. We get a warning for causing a collision. How that happens is beyond me. I don't understand it. But then again, I am just a driver. I'm not paid to make these decisions. So we continue on to finish our race in 17th. Not the worst, not the best. Technically we didn't come in last, but it's still not very good. Which brings us to our second race, Brazil. Brazil's a very fun track. Played it a few times. I'm not the best with it, but here's our start. Once again, I'm hoping for kind of a clean race. We get a decent start off of the line. Into the first turn. I try to stay out of the mix here, so I take a very wide turn. And we already see a Red Bull spun around, and then we have this. So Pete 73, our teammate Lando, and Kevin Mids are all off on one side of the track. And then the player who won my heart by his name alone, the Big Titty Monster, somehow ended up on the complete other side of the track, doing what he does best, I guess. So we continue on to all of this. Danny 27 gets a great exit out of the turn. Phil is behind, and Molesetter is just in front. Now, unfortunately, I tapped Danny 27, allowing Molesetter to get through, Phil to get through. Max Verstappen, very nice seeing Max Verstappen in. Unfortunately, he is in a Mercedes, which is interesting. And Rhino 9080 goes through. So we continue on, as there's a yellow flag going into the turn, and we have a Red Bull hot on our tail. Who can it be? Mr. Get clapped himself, clapping me from behind and sending me into the barriers. Now, it's more of a racing incident than anything. I don't feel a certain way about it, but it did send me from 11th down to 18th, making our lives just a little bit harder. There we have the Haas of Kevin Mids getting through. And now we're just going to try and gather what we can of this race. These races have just turned into complete chaos and Bumpercars. But nonetheless, we will prevail and have fun. Try and make something of this. Going into our second lap. We have 1.2 off of Fanboy Venta behind us. And we have 2 seconds, 2.5 from Kevin Mids in front.
Got a lot of spare energy, okay to use your overtake button.
So right now we're just focusing on trail braking, getting our braking points right, trying to get some sort of a consistent time going throughout all of this. Because this race has just been good, bad, not so great. Not terrible, but not very good. So we're just trying to get some clean laps down, get some solid times up. You can see Mr. Sheep with a 6-second penalty. Bit of a moment there on the exit of that turn. We're going to come up into one of the last turns. Now we just have these 2 sweeping lefts. And you can tell it's competitive out front by the constant change of the fastest lap. And then these two, they somehow have ended up stopped completely. And here we have our good friend Phil perpendicular to the racing line. Again, a very interesting way of going about it. And then we come up on Joey. Joey was stopped for some reason, but apparently that Williams is just lightning quick as he gets away. And he's just going to outbrake me here on the corner. He's just a little bit more confident than I on the brakes. Me and this McLaren are not really linking up very well. But Joey in the Williams, his pace is immaculate. He eventually catches up to Molesetter, as Molesetter has a bit of a moment there. Almost turning too far right. And he has another bit of a moment here. Again, just thinking he's in a drift car not one of the drifts, unfortunately. And they magically take each other out. So in front we have Sofo Comento racing for the pride of Maranello Ferrari with a 4-second penalty. 4 seconds ahead. So if I can get that gap down below 4 seconds, I obviously will take over that spot. And above him, in 11th, is PDK. About 5.7, 5.8 seconds ahead. So I don't think I'm going to catch him just because of my pace. But Joey has overtaken Kevin Mids, putting Joey very close behind now. His pace throughout the entire race was very strong, much better than I. As you can tell, he just chews away at the time through the braking zones. I am very slow through here. I'll be the first to admit I'm not good at that sector. So now, going into the 5th lap, our gap to Joey is under a second. So I am feeling the pressure here, and I know he's going to have the DRS if I can't extend this gap. We have caught up to Sofo Comento. We get DRS, so that does help keep Joey behind as we are going to overtake the Ferrari. And unfortunately, Sofo Comento just makes a minor error and allows Joey to get through. So now once again, Joey is on my tail. He does have DRS. And I honestly don't really try and fight that. I know he's got the pace. I know he's better on the pace. I let him go about his race. And here we have, unfortunately, Lando, once again, perpendicular in the barriers. Wishing him a good ending to his race. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get that. So now we have Kevin Mids in the Haas coming up very hot behind. So I have a bit of a moment, nothing too severe. And I take the George Russell line of he turned into me.
Guys, thank you so much. Doing great all weekend. To everyone back in the factory, on a pit wall. You've been
And this is an interesting line as I decide to off-road the McLaren. And well, this moment is only what I can describe as don't celebrate before it's over. As we see Kevin Mids swerve randomly and end up in the barrier. And he just loses the position entirely. So we finished 12th in that race, remarkably. And our 3rd race will be in Imola, a track that I know very well. And this race is interesting. We have qualifying. And like I said, I do know this track very well, but as you could tell, it was just not my day for anything. As going into the barriers and spinning will be a highlight of this race. This race I'm not very proud of, but I did kind of find it funny at a certain point of just how poor I was doing. We actually started pretty high up for the spinning. We started 3rd behind Mr. Sheep and behind PTK in the Mercedes. And we actually get a great start. We get ahead of Mr. Sheep. We're 9/10 off of PTK. That gap opens up very quickly. But behind us is Mr. O Block Party himself from where I can only imagine, the O Block. And here we're going to have just a moment doing the exact same thing we did in qualifying, meeting the barrier. And all of a sudden, Tupac Shakur is into the barrier. It's good to see him doing good. Having a bit of fun on Formula 123. Absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, his race is over, though. Mine pretty much is, too. I'm just not a quitter. I don't back out of lobbies. If you do, that's fine. I always try and learn something. Here I learned that this race is awful. Our spin actually causes Rhino to go wide, and I can only just feel worse about this because as soon as he gets back on track, he spins again. So I was more of a liability than anything during this race. I'm not exactly proud of this one. I don't know what happened.
Okay, not a great
I'm
start.
at a
Let's
loss
get...
of words,
Okay, be aware
honestly,
there's an
but
incident in the next part of the track. No overtaking through the yellow flags.
here we have the pride of Maranello once again, just completely done.
The track is
DNF.
clear.
I can only
Wheel-Fanatec.
imagine that their motor blew up, which is painful as a Ferrari fan. And here we get an exceeding track limits warning, which we have gotten once or twice before. So now we're at the limit of almost getting a penalty as I completely biff it again on the brakes and almost meet the barrier, but I did save it. As a professional racing driver on the closed course, if you believe that. Yeah, so we're at the point now where if we cross over the white line again, we are unfortunately going to get a 3-second penalty, and that's just not going to help. So here we are, just trying to keep it clean. We're not really worried about paces. We're 19 seconds off. There's really no point. We're just trying to bring the car home, as both AlphaTauris are now unfortunately out, which is sad to see. I do like AlphaTauri, so that is upsetting to see. And here we have just an absolute moment where we somehow lock the rears up and forget how to drive for a bit of a minute here. So we eventually get the car moving again.
24.1 seconds.
Get through the chicane. And this is the last lap. So at this point, my main goal here is like I said, just get the car home. Finish the race, finish strong. We're 24 seconds behind. This is a race that you really just want to forget at the end of it all. Cross the checkered flag. We're going to hug the right side to just get it over with quicker. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Some races you're just not going to win. But I want to thank you all for watching. This has been fun. I'm going to be making more of these. So if you liked this, give it a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time for hopefully a much better race. Goodbye.